and welcome back to Blue Jays Today, where today, guys, holy moly, it finally happened. The Cooch is no longer getting loose with the Toronto Blue Jays. The Blue Jays make a trade for the Cooch. He's gone. He's going over to the Houston Astros. And what did the Blue Jays get in return? Well, we got something very, very interesting, guys. A juicy little prospect that we're going to break down. And let me just say it right now, it could be the steal of the Blue Jays trade deadline. Let's get into it, guys. I'm your host, Adam Peddle.
And I'm your host, Nicholas Blaylock. Quick apologies, guys, on some of the technical difficulties in the first couple streams. This is the third one that we've done today, so...
Yeah, we're rushing right now, trying to get this content out as fast as possible, so of course, you missed some technical things.
Yeah, exactly, guys. But let's break down this trade right now, because Yusei Kikuchi is loose, just, he's free with the Astros now. And the return, man, like, we were looking at some unbiased baseball channels, like Talking Baseball and some of those, not Toronto Blue Jays bias, because obviously Toronto Blue Jays fans, we're going to spin this in the most positive way that we can, but it feels like the consensus right now across the baseball community is this is a massive freaking W for Toronto, for Ross Atkins, a rare Ross Atkins W. I mean, you don't see too many of those in 2024, but that is what this feels like, everybody. We got a very solid prospect back in Jake Bloss.
First, before we break into Jake Bloss, let's take a look at the breaking news that did happen, guys. Jeff Passan, he was the first guy who kind of confirmed it. Everyone was kind of on it like, oh, it's coming. And then Jeff Passan came out here and did confirm that Yusei Kikuchi is going over to the Houston Astros. And first of all, before we get into Jake Bloss, I really want to reflect and dive into Yusei Kikuchi and what we were expecting in a return. We've broken it down before. Yusei Kikuchi, leading up to this point, has had a horrible month of June and an even rougher month of July, getting absolutely just dominated in almost every single start, raising that ERA to 4.75 and the whip up to 1.34. And we were looking at this kind of return expecting, well, what are the Blue Jays going to get? I mean, you look around the league, and there really wasn't too much going on in the starting pitching market, but the Houston Astros, they saw something in Kikuchi, and clearly they were willing to pay up for a Yusei Kikuchi.
Well, I think the big thing that raised his price tag and got us the return that we got, because it is a sizable one, is the fact that, you saw the not just the Astros, but the Dodgers involved, and the Twins were involved, and there was another team too.
There was the Dodgers, Twins, Padres were involved.
Yep. You had the Orioles calling about starting pitching, so you had all of these different contending ball teams out there that needed starting pitching, and there just really wasn't that many, right? I mean, of course, there's Tariq Skubal, and if he goes, then that is just going to be a fucking crazy blockbuster.
Right.
That's like a Jackson Holiday level deal.
And right now people are thinking that that's not even going to happen, right?
Probably
so it's
not.
you're looking around the market, and then Yusei Kikuchi is kind of the guy right now of a left-handing pitcher.
Exactly, right? The name that kept popping out was Yusei Kikuchi, and with all of those people calling, I mean, I feel like that is what raised the price tag up, because you're right, like just from a performance-based analysis, Kikuchi hasn't been that great. I mean, like he had, he had a pretty good. Actually, no, he didn't. I was gonna say a good start in his last one with the Jays. I was thinking about the walk off, but actually he got chased from the game rather early. Right? I think he gave up 4 or 5 runs. So I mean, like he hasn't been phenomenal for us, and I feel like this is the best that you could have done if you're the Toronto Blue Jays trading him away. You knew that you were going to trade him. You knew that the value was lessening as the months went on, and you got as much as you could. It does make you wonder, though, like, fuck. Could you imagine if he was pitching at the level that he was pitching in April and in May? Oh my God.
The return would be insane. I mean, I thought you were about to say, could you imagine if we trade Chris Bassett and or whoever, right?
Yes.
During this deadline. Well, let's break into it. You brought up Jake Bloss. That is going to be the name that a lot of Blue Jay fans you're going to want to remember. That is the sole guy coming in return for Mr. Yusei Kikuchi. Bloss, get to know him, guys. He's a 23-year-old right-handed pitcher, and Ben Nicholson-Smith puts it right here. He is a legit prospect and would definitely be the best Blue Jays, the best the Blue Jays have gotten so far, according to one scout. Mid-rotation starting pitching potential with a fastball and curve, and throws a lot of strikes. Now, so far, if you want to take what Jake Bloss has done in the minor leagues, well, he's been pretty damn good. This year in the minor leagues, he has a 164 ERA with a whip of 0.788. Lots of great stuff right there. Not a whole lot of strikeout stuff, because when you look at Jake's stuff, it's not super overpowering. A fastball in the mid 90s. Some scouts say it tops up to 97, but it's that juicy curveball. It's that slider that gives a lot of weak ground balls and stuff like that. And Jake Bloss, actually, right now, guys, he has already pitched for Houston. This was during the whole area when they were desperate for pitching because they were going through a lot of injuries. Granted, he wasn't that great, but again, you're being thrown into a situation you're just not ready for. But Jake Bloss, at 23 years old, he has been talked about as maybe a guy that could give you legitimate middle-of-the-rotation stuff, just like Yusei Kikuchi was doing, but now you have him for 6 more years, where Yusei, as a rental, is giving it only for 2 months to the Houston Astros. So from my perspective, that is a huge win. Yeah. You're getting so much more length from a guy in terms of his contract and cheaper from Jake Bloss. And getting it from a Yusei Kikuchi, like, that is a huge win in my mind.
100%, man. I mean, I see some people in the chat saying that they're thinking that it's not just a one-for-one deal and there might be something else added to it, which would be incredible. I'm looking around on Twitter right now. I did see somebody saying something like that, but nothing has really been confirmed on that. You know, if the Toronto Blue Jays are getting an additional thing, or if we're giving up an additional thing, or whatever. I mean, if we got something else, like, that'd be fucking crazy. I do want to look up, if you could just pull up Keegan Matheson's recent tweet. We were on MLB.com looking at the top prospects in the Astros system, and right now, he is ranked 9th in the Astros system. However, he was actually just about to get bumped up significantly and become their 2nd-ranked prospect in their entire system. Now, the Houston Astros don't have the best system in all of baseball by any stretch. Like, it's actually pretty comparable to the Toronto Blue Jays. But I mean, if you're talking about a Orelvis Martinez level of pitcher, or like a Brandon Barriera level of pitcher, right? So that's kind of the comparison that what it might be. That is the return here. Like, we are looking at a significant asset that the Toronto Blue Jays just acquired here. And I'll be honest, I'm kind of shocked, man. I saw someone in the chat saying, like, we just did the Detroit Tigers a massive fucking favor.
Because we bumped up the price.
Yeah, like, Jack Flaherty is going to go for, like, fuck, are you trading Jackson Holiday for Jack Flaherty now? Like, obviously that's an exaggeration, but that's what it feels like, right? Like, this price for what you're getting in return, I mean, Yusei Kikuchi, 2 months of Yusei Kikuchi where he hasn't been performing great. Like, this really does feel like quite the steal. Yeah,
I mean, look at this right here. Here's what's even crazy. He's kind of highlighting the fact of how good Jake Bloss is. Look, Jake Bloss for 2 months of Yusei Kikuchi. This is by Ben Nicholson Smith. Looks like a strong return because according to Fangraphs, they ranked him 92nd amongst all prospects ahead of the deadline. Bloss is literally close to MLB ready. So when we were talking earlier today about getting guys who are literally MLB ready, especially pitching, this is your number. This is your guy competing for the 5th spot in the rotation next year.
Yeah, actually,
like, literally.
So realistically, if he was ranked 92nd in all of baseball, because I know that Ricky Tiedemann is pretty high. I think he's in the 30s, and I think that Orelvis Martinez is something like 70 or something. So that would make him our 3rd-ranked prospect.
That would be 3rd
in all of baseball, if that is the case, right? And if they stay where they are, which is just a absolutely phenomenal return. I'll be honest, I did not expect or anticipate any level of that. Like, I thought that we might get like a top 10 guy, but you know, somebody of Alan Rodin level potential.
Right.
You know, like,
someone down here. Yeah.
Not a top 100 prospect, and that is what the Toronto Blue Jays are getting back in return. And I love this comment right here from Scott Farr. Shout out to Scott Farr here, $199 donation. You're the best. And also shout out to the almost 500 people watching right now, guys. If you haven't already done so, hit the like, smash the subscribe button. We're going to be live all of tomorrow following the trade deadline.
There could be more.
He says you have to consider Bassett now. You have to consider Bassett now.
Of course.
Like, if that is the return, like,
because you're already getting a major league ready to go pitcher. Imagine you trade Chris Bassett at his peak right now, and you have an additional year. Yes, there's a contract, but you're getting a legitimate starting pitcher for an additional year. If we get another guy ready to go, maybe even another guy who's a position player ready to go, dude, that is a W deadline.
Yes.
W. I'm serious. Tomorrow, I think that if I'm Ross Atkins, I need to see the writing on the wall here. Chad Green's got to go. Chad Green's got to go. IKF's got to go, but especially the starting pitching, you got to consider Bassett. Genesis Cabrera, does he got to go now? If you're going to if they're going to pay out of their asses, take advantage of it. You have less than 24 hours to do so.
Yeah, exactly, right? I mean, look, if this is what the market is dictating, like, who are you to say no? I've always been a kind of the mindset. It's like, listen, I'll listen to anyone, right? If you want to offer me, all 5 of your top prospects for some of my guys, like, okay, like, I'm not gonna say no to that, right? And I think that is the mentality that Ross Atkins needs to walk into this deadline with. I know that he wants to be competitive in 2025, and fuck, so do I. But when you're, getting back a top 100 prospect who can actually pitch for us, like, I don't want to say that he's of the same level because there is a tier difference, but this is our new Ricky Tiedemann, considering Ricky Tiedemann is going to be getting Tommy John next year, right? Like, this is going to be a new, exciting prospect to watch, and somebody who will probably have to step in to a rotational spot potentially next year, considering the state of the pitching depth right now. So yeah, this is fucking great.
This is probably my favorite trade of it all, guys. Let us know in the chat right now how you're feeling. Shout out to the 500 of you guys in here. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Blue Jays Today, because you already know we're going to be going live, like we said, all day tomorrow. We hope to have you guys on, whether you're watching or listening in the background, if you're at your work or school or wherever you're listening from. We're going to be watching it all along. Now, yeah, we were kind of talking about it. Do you think that the odds of Chris Bassitt has just gone up, or do you think Ross Atkins is putting his foot in the ground right now and saying no?
I mean,
it's tough to say. Obviously,
that's
speculation.
The thing. Like, speculating on Ross Atkins' moves, I've found is not usually a favorable outcome for me. I typically get everything wrong when it comes to him, as do a lot of analysts. I know, me personally, I would absolutely be on the phone thinking about all these guys right now. And I mean, if I was Chris Bassitt, I'd fucking think right. I'd be like, Jesus Christ, that's the return. Like, I should get traded at this point,
I'll help my team.
I mean, Chad Green for me seems like a no-brainer, and that does feel like something that should transpire tomorrow. Similarly, IKF as well. We got the trade block up right here, guys. Danny Jansen already gone, Jimmy gone, Pearson gone, Turner earlier today, and now Yusei Kikuchi gone. But IKF and Chad Green for me are easy ones. Even though the market is getting kind of crazy, I still think you're going to have a hard time getting, some serious interest in Trevor Richards and Kevin Kiermaier. But you know what? If you can, do it.
Do it.
And then also, I really think that Chris Bassitt needs to be put in that conversation.
I agree.
If this is the price of Yusei Kikuchi, you're looking at somebody's #1 overall ranked prospect for Chris Bassitt. You're looking at an MLB-ready player in some capacity for Chris Bassitt.
Well, I mean, you're looking at the market right now. The guys who were interested in Yusei Kikuchi was obviously the Houston Astros. So maybe they got their guy. Maybe they're feeling good. And then you had, of course, the LA Dodgers, who made a trade earlier today for Michael Lorenzen. But then who else was still interested in Yusei Kikuchi? You had the Padres that were interested. The Twins were interested. I mean, you could send Chris Bassitt over to the Padres in a heartbeat, and they would absolutely take up that deal. Now, I'm assuming, I got that right here, that the Astros logo right underneath Chris Bassitt and Gosman, because they were looking at the Blue Jays. I'm assuming that's not going to be happening anymore because they got their man.
Yeah.
But they got to go make it. They got to go make that move sooner rather than later. You guys saw someone in the live chat right now, man. How you feeling? This is an absolute blockbuster of a steal right now.
Also, breaking news, by the way, separate deal, but the LA Dodgers have just bought Ahmed Rosario off of the Tampa Bay Rays. That is a real thing that just transpired. So they have gone and they have done that. So the LA Dodgers are absolutely going all in. I think that's somebody that you got to be on the phone with, right? They need starting pitching right now. Obviously, Yusei Kikuchi is no more, but Chris Bassitt's still here, and I'm sure that you guys would like Chad Green. The LA Dodgers are a squad that are willing to pay up out of their ass for effectively anything of value. They need to be somebody that you need to be talking to tomorrow, Ross Atkins.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see how you can't at this point, how you cannot be having these conversations. And we were kind of looking and talking right now. I saw some people in the chat talking about too, like, is this it for the Blue Jays? And I really think they're going to be considering their options all the way up until 6 p.m. tomorrow.
Yes.
Eastern Standard Time. They have to. If they're not going to sit back and go, okay, we're done, no more conversations, because you're missing out on what could potentially be a golden opportunity to restock what is one of the worst farm systems in all of baseball. And if you legitimately want to compete in 2025, you might not be able to do it if you sell Chris Bassitt and all these guys and Chad Green, but you might be able to really compete 2027. You know what I mean? Like once everybody starts coming into their primes.
Hot Take Hockey, quick shout out here saying you guys live tomorrow. We're going to be live from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., everybody. So that is an 8-hour live stream that we're locking in, guaranteed. We'll be live through the entire trade deadline. So every single deal that transpires here, whether it be the Dodgers, the Yankees, or whatever, Toronto Blue Jays, we are going to be live for it. So have us on in the background tomorrow, guys. Jump in throughout the day.
Absolutely.
It should be one hell of a stream, I think.
We got some people have mixed emotions, not really liking the Yusei Kikuchi trade. Look, I love Yusei Kikuchi. Don't get me wrong. Love this guy. I actually hope he really performs and does well in the postseason, man. But if he's going to play in the postseason for the Houston Astros, but it's just way too much of a W, man. Way too much of a W. I also saw Nick Alberga talking a little bit earlier saying, not about Yusei Kikuchi. He was commenting on our stuff about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. being like, also big shout out to Nick Alberga.
Right.
He's got quite the opinions right now. He was talking about Vladimir Guerrero Jr., totally off topic, that he thinks that the Blue Jays should not be extending a Mr. You see that, Mr. Vladimir Guerrero Jr.?
I definitely did see that, man. I also saw some people in the chat earlier just saying like, oh, Vladdy's going. Somebody was saying Vladdy's
got to go now.
Or Vladdy's going to wherever. And again, like, if this is the type of returns that you're getting, obviously a Vladimir Guerrero Jr. trade would be a king's ransom. Like, you'd be getting so much back.
So much.
However, I mean, there does come a point where you got to kind of put your foot down and go, well, we need somebody to build around here. And it's probably going to be Guerrero. Again, my mentality is the same for anyone. Doesn't matter what your name. Doesn't matter if you're fucking, Shohei Ohtani or Paul Skeens. I don't care. I listen on anybody. If I'm the GM, I listen to any offer that you have for me. I wouldn't shut it down at all. However, that being said, it would obviously take me that much more to even start to consider moving on from a Vladimir Guerrero.
Yeah, that feels like it's yes, you would get all the prospects that you could possibly imagine potentially, and it's just more of a Blue Jays identity thing. Like, what are we trying to do here? Like, we're literally it's a full rebuild. Then you trade a Chris Bassett, then you trade a Kevin Gausman, then you trade everybody away, and then you're going into a deep dark window for many years.
Yeah, 100%, man, 100%. Guys, shout out to everybody who's come in here, folks. You are all the best. Like we said, we'll be live all of tomorrow, 10 a.m., 6 p.m. So come, stop in, ask us your questions, give us your thoughts about the trade deadline. We'll be following along with everything. Leah's saying this reminds me of Monopoly. That's what it is to be a seller. It's all profit, baby. It's just, buy low, sell high, flip, flip, flip. We're effectively a real estate agent right now.
That's it.
That's all we are.
That's all we are. Guys, make sure you turn on your post notifications because we're, like Nick said, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be live. We're going to be covering it all. We're going to be just going through Twitter, looking at all the latest updates. I can't wait, guys. I can't wait. I'll see y'all. We'll see y'all tomorrow, guys.
Thank you so much for watching, everybody. And as always,
go Jays, go!